you never know what inspires young people, and to have just a really beautiful, positive message out there and a connection with the animals and the environment. It's exciting because, you could meet a kid 25 years from now who says, I saw Blueback and this is what I'm doing now,
How are you guys doing?
Good, how are you?
Thanks. How are you?
I am doing great. I really enjoyed Blueback. The film was gorgeous, first of all, and I love how much time we spend at sea in the ocean. What was that experience like for both of you? How much did you have to prepare to be on the water?
You were sort of on it and I was in it.
Yeah, I got to hang out on top and enjoy just being on that boat. But
yeah, I did some scuba training and some freediving training, which was awesome. I really love the water and I feel really confident in the ocean, but I've never done scuba before, so that was a whole new experience for me.
Eric, you were an executive producer on the film. What was it that most inspired you about the vision of the story, or that made you want to be a part of it in that way?
I just thought it was a really, really beautiful story. It obviously has an environmental message to it, but it really doesn't feel at all preachy. It just feels a very immersive experience. I love the fact that our characters are just from that world, and it's a very natural thing, and you come away feeling as though you've spent time in this beautiful coastal village off the coast of Australia. And I was very envious of that lifestyle when I watched the film, and I just thought, what an amazing way to grow up, and what an incredible mother Dora is to Abby, and that connection they have together is really, really beautiful. And yeah, so it was a film I very much wanted to be a part of and help out.
Mia, you have there's so many scenes where we see Abby as a young child, as a teen, and then you as an adult. Was there any sense of responsibility about creating the continuity of that character and achieving some kind of synthesis with Ariel or Ilsa?
Well, we crossed over by a couple of days and really only had a short period of time to kind of get to know each other. And we didn't really consciously try to do anything or have conversations about any of that. I think we sort of left that up to the audience, but it was so wonderful to sort of get to know them as people a little bit before they started filming and get a sense of who they were. And then 2 years later, I sort of watched the film and I was just blown away by them. They were so beautiful and confident and natural and emotional. And I think they've done an amazing job.
That's amazing. I mean, so a 2-year gap feels like such a long time. Was that due to any of the visual elements? Did you have, not you personally, but did they have to CG certain underwater parts of it, or how much of that was really practical?
Well, the fish was actually a puppet. So we did a lot of filming with the fish in situ, which was really original and a great call on Robert's part. But I think it was 2 years between filming and release, which is generally kind of standard. But it was... I mean, obviously we play the same character, so we had no scenes together. So it was I felt like I had my little bit, my 2 weeks, and then they made a whole other movie.
Oh, speaking of Robert, you've worked with him before, Eric, on The Dry, and will again, presumably. What is it that you like about his work and that collaboration?
Yeah, we have a great working relationship. We have an office together that we've had for nearly 12 years now, and we've worked together 4 or 5 times. We have Force of Nature coming out as well, later on, which is a follow-up to The Dry. We're like-minded. We love making films. We love making films at this kind of level. We think it's a really important part of the film ecosystem, that films at this budget level are really important. To both audiences and crews and actors and as filmmakers, it just feels like a great place to be. It's a very natural thing. We don't have any kind of formal agreement. We do our own thing, and then we come together when it suits us. And I just love working with him. He has a really infectious, positive energy, and he's a great, skilled filmmaker. He's made some incredible films, and to get to work with him fairly often has been wonderful.
I really love what we see of Abby's relationship with her mother, and also it's almost kind of like bittersweet how it seems to have changed from when she was younger to her as an adult. What was your take on the intervening period that we don't get to see, Mia?
Yeah, well, I think it's just so true of the kind of complexity of the mother-daughter relationship. I think, there's that real want to kind of hold on to each other, but also have to at some stage kind of let go. And yeah, I mean, the film doesn't kind of go into that period of time after she left, but there's, hints of what might have happened. But yeah, I mean, in so many ways, Dora is responsible for Abby's love of the ocean and her kind of connection to the ocean and to Blueback, which is where it all kind of began for her. I think that sort of passion to sort of protect that feeling of responsibility towards the ocean, which has then propelled her on this amazing journey. But yeah, it's a really sort of bittersweet relationship.
Also bittersweet is the fact that you guys didn't get to have scenes together because it was another version of you. It was another world. But what is each of your takes on this special relationship that Macca has with Abby and with Dora?
It felt like a lot of fun. I mean, I think, kids always gravitate to those mischievous adults that they can't quite work them out. They're like the naughty uncle or auntie or, someone that they know from their community that they just know gets into a little bit of trouble. But he also becomes kind of quite important to Dora for obvious reasons. And so getting to play with our two young actors was wonderful. It was Ilsa's first film. And it's always a thrill to be, part of the young actors when they're at the beginning of their journey. So yeah, it was just I love the way Robert structured Mad Macca, and that you kind of left wanting to know more about him is always fun.
And for you, Mia, did you have any sense of like continuity there of what that dynamic was and what it meant for her in her adulthood?
Yeah, I mean, my main sort of sense of Macca was that I inherited his boat. So there was sort of this storyline of, I don't know, being on his boat. And yeah, it was, so yeah, there is a sense of it. But, as you said, we didn't have scenes that crossed over. So
right.
You guys kind of did that, set that up on your own. And yeah.
I also loved her relationship with Briggs and whether or not, it was romantic or friendship in the long run. What was it like to evolve that storyline?
Oh, it was great. Clarence Ryan, who played Briggs as an adult, we did a film together when he was 14 and I was 17. So we'd already we'd worked together once before, which was kind of really great because, we had a little history, and then we met each other again as adults on this film. So it was really nice to sort of reconnect with him and in the same way that I guess our characters have.
You mentioned, Eric, that this is like a film that really does help you like kind of like lean into like ocean conservation, wildlife preservation, but it doesn't beat you over the head with it. However, I first off was so shocked to learn that Blueback that the groper starts off as man or starts off female and then might become male later. Was there anything that you guys learned that surprised you or excited you while you were working on the film?
I guess just the little bits that we did learn. I kind of forced Robert Connolly to take me on a tour to see some orcas. There's only 2 places in the world that you can guaranteed to see orcas any day of the year, and one of them is just off the coast of where we were filming.
Oh wow.
So yeah, it was little things like that. Because we're in this amazing environment, we got to go on this 2 hours out into the ocean and then have this amazing experience seeing orcas and watching them hunting, and it's just the sort of thing that I don't know that I'd ever have had the chance to see that.
How about for you, Eric? Was there anything that was particularly exciting for you?
I mean, just learning about the gropers, just how old they live. I mean, up to 70, isn't it? I mean, it's kind of crazy, and just the fact that they can change sex from one to the other. Like, yeah, I mean, anytime you're exposed to elements of the natural world that is new to you, it's always thrilling, and to be able to get inside the minds of young kids who might see this film and that sparks an interest. I mean, I love the fact that we see. You're drawing when you're a little kid, and that those little drawings that you do as a kid kind of lead you to having a real influence in your local area and the oceans as an adult. And you never know what inspires young people, and to have just a really beautiful, positive message out there and a connection with the animals and the environment. It's exciting, because you could meet a kid 25 years from now who says, I saw Blueback and this is what I'm doing now.
Mia, I also really love your scenes with Dora as an adult. What was it like to work with Liz Alexander, especially because she doesn't speak for so much of it? You have really, she fills up the space, but you're filling up the dialogue.
Yeah, well, I really adored Liz. We had a really great time working together. Unlike on camera, we spoke a lot off camera. So we actually, because we were traveling in the middle of a lockdown, we travelled together from Sydney to Perth, and then did this funny road trip down to where we were filming 6 hours south. And just due to the restrictions, we had designated spots on the map where we were allowed to stop and go to the bathroom, and we weren't allowed to go to coffee shops or anything. And it was, so we kind of had this funny sort of trip down to filming together. And she's wonderful. So it was great.
You mentioned returning as Falk in Force of Nature, Eric. Obviously, I know that there are books that it's based on, but what are you most excited for audiences to see about his journey and your work in that film?
Oh, look, we've assembled another ridiculous cast for that film. There are 5 central women who get lost in the bush on a corporate retreat, which is the core of the storyline, are just absolutely phenomenal. It's very, very different to The Dry in terms of its landscape. It's set in the middle of a forest in the middle of winter, which we did for real in Victoria last year. So it's a very visceral film, showcases another incredible Australian landscape and another amazing Jane Harper novel. So it was a thrill for us to get a chance to do. I've never done a follow-up or a sequel in my life, so to get a chance to do it with Aaron Falk and off the back of The Dry was amazing. Yeah, we can't wait for people to see it.
Me either. And finally, Mia, I believe you've got Club Zero coming up next. What can you tell me about that? What can I expect?
It's Austrian director Jessica Hausner. Really amazing, sort of interesting script about a teacher who sort of influences her students negatively. So I actually haven't worked out how to sum up the story yet, because I haven't got there mentally. But
influencing your teachers negatively is a good place to start.
Yeah. Anyway,
or it's students. Yeah. Then finally, what is one thing that you each want audiences to take away from Blueback?
Well, I hope that they're really inspired and moved in a way that sort of calls them to action.
Yeah, just that they feel like they've spent a couple hours in this beautiful, rugged part of the Australian coastline and have a new appreciation for the underwater world and the environment around them in general.
After all these Australian films, I have to go visit Australia now, because clearly I am missing out. Thank you both so much. It was wonderful speaking to you. Have a great day.
You too. Bye.